when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
The PNP is sitting in the stands with only a watching brief as three candidates go forward to do battle in the by-election in Northeast St. Anne scheduled for September 30. Today on Lead Story, we'll talk about those three combatants, Matthew Samuda for the JLP, the UIC's Chad Neal, and David Fritz Anderson, who says he's an independent candidate. Lead Story is on now. Let's start the show. When the PNP said they had no interest in the Northeast St. Anne by-election, many observers thought that that would have paved the way for Matthew Samuda, the presumptive JLP candidate at that time, to walk through to victory. In fact, many people thought that with the PNP out, Samuda would not have needed to have faced an election because he would have been the only man nominated in the contest, only candidate nominated in the contest, and he would have been pushed through by acclaim to sit in the House of Representatives as Member of Parliament. But two other candidates have entered the race. The UIC's Chad Neal, that's the United Independence Congress, Chad Neal representing them, and David Fritz Anderson, an independent candidate who sounded out from earlier on this Wednesday that he intended to fight for the right to be referred to as Member of Parliament for Northeast St. Anne. So three warriors in the field, and we look to see what happens. There is no doubt that Samuda is the overwhelming favorite, the howling favorite to win the contest and win big. Neal and Anderson expected to be cannon fodder, but you never know. The fact is that the last time an independent candidate won an election of any kind in Jamaica, you'd have to go back to the 2012 local government election where Paul Patmore did the trick as an independent candidate in the Lorrimers division in Trelawney, South Trelawney to be precise, after falling out with the Jamaica Labour Party on the eve of the elections. He switched to an independent slate and he won and ended up being the kingmaker. That division finished in a tie. The Trelawney Municipal Corporation finished in a tie, and he had the casting vote to decide who the mayor would be. So there is not really previous. 2012 was what, 12 years ago, and before that you'd have to use binoculars to find the last time an independent candidate was successful in Jamaica, but it has been done before. But it still remains a very tall order for either of the gentlemen to get by Matthew Samuda. On the show today, we're going to talk to one of our reporters who was out in Northeast St. Anne to give us a flavor of how the people reacted to today's carnival of where the nomination day activities are concerned. I didn't want to say carnival because it's not quite that yet, but the show of force from the JLP is enough to have said, yes, it was a carnival-like atmosphere, at least where the ruling party is concerned, with the other two candidates being quite understated on their way into the nomination center. After that, we will talk to representatives. We'll speak with a parliamentary secretary in the office of the Prime Minister, Abka Fitzenli. He's managing the communication on behalf of Matthew Samuda, and we'll hear from the independent candidate as well to see what platform is he pivoting from to sit in the House of Representatives as a Member of Parliament. So that's the show we have for you today. We'll take our first break and we come back. Ramon Gordon will be the man in the chair to give us the bird's eye view of what happened in NE St. A.
My heart goes crazy.
Schoolboy Football, September 7 to December 14 on CVM TV.
Come rise with Sunrise. We're taking it all the way back with Remember This. Then it's Elder Rock, change the way you age. Speaking of age, it's just a number. You're never too young to be a reading champion. Step in the name of love and fitness. It's a September not to be missed. Sunrise does Christmas in September, just because we can. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
It appears anybody who was anybody from the ruling Jamaica Labour Party was out in Northeast St. Anne today to usher Matthew Samuda through the gates to become the candidate in Northeast St. Anne. And our reporter Ramon Gordon was out on the streets, and he'll be able to tell us, give us a first-hand account of how the day went. Ramon, welcome back to Lead Story. You've been here a fair few times. You're officially a member of the presentation team now, my friend.
That's hilarious. Always a pleasure, George. Thank you for having me.
Big respect. All right, what happened in Northeast St. Anne today?
You said it before we went on the break. It was a carnival-like atmosphere, but let's start with the actual weather. It was so hot. I don't know how the locals deal with it every day. There are still sweat stains. I'm going to have to contend with them when I get home. It was very, very hot, but it certainly did set the stage for what would be a very eventful day. Like you said, there are now 3 contenders in the race going up against the JLP standard bearer. We know his name is Matthew Samuda. The first man that showed up to the nomination center was at the St. Anne's Bay Electoral Office. His name is David Fritz Anderson, and he's the independent candidate, or not so independent as some persons are saying. I'll leave that conversation to be had further on, later on in the show. But he came in, he was very, very confident. He was dressed in full white. I don't know if that was symbolic or some loose reference to his faith. But he was a very confident man. He brands himself a family man. He lives in the constituency, and he's hungry for change. One of his main concerns in the area, he says, is crime. So that's at the top of his agenda. Also infrastructure, water, internet, and all other considerations. But also on the ticket was the man from UIC, and he is Charles Neal. He came in, but he had to leave. He was slated to be nominated at 12 o'clock, but he did not arrive with the necessary amount of witnesses necessary for the process. I think that's 10. So he left, and he had to find them. We saw him at the nomination center when we were leaving the site, but we're not certain if he was nominated. But he also threw his hat in the ring.
My information is that he was. So I wanted to ask you, how much time did he take from the moment, the first time he turned up at the nomination center to the time when he retreated to go and seek the reinforcements necessary?
Oh, over an hour. Because when the Prime Minister and Matthew Samuda and the entourage came, they were there for some time. And I'm going to tell you that story very soon. So let's get to that.
I want to get to that,
Matthew Samuda. So he came. We were waiting, like I said, for Mr. Neal to come back. We didn't see him, but we heard something in the distance. It was vuvuzelas. We heard a motorcade coming up, so we said, of course, it's the Prime Minister. The nomination centre is a little distance away from where they convened. It was in an open parking lot. It was a very conference-like environment. So we ran over with the cameraman. When we got there, we saw the man himself, the Prime Minister. We saw Julia Tonis, the House Speaker. We saw several cabinet ministers, the Health Minister, the Foreign Affairs Minister, and other high-ranking JLP officials, and among them was Matthew Samuda, the chosen one. So they walked over to the nomination center, but they took the long route. We walked around the town, and that's where these sweat stains come from, because I was running behind the truck trying to get the perfect shot. We finally got to the nomination center. We went in. There was a little delay because he stopped to greet the supporters on the outside. We got inside, we went up, and the process ensued. And he paid his nomination fee with green $100 bills in the name of national hero Marcus Garvey, son of St. Anne, I think he said.
He did what?
He paid his nomination fee in green $100 bills.
So $15,000, $100 bills, that would be what? 10 per thousand.
Yes.
10 times 50. 150.
150. 100. And he brought extra, you know. He made it very clear, in case this stack is short, I have extras here. No problem at all.
He painted it down on
absolute theatre.
Wow.
And it was delicious to see firsthand. Afterwards, they lingered in the nomination centre. The Prime Minister congratulated him there. Then they went on the outside. And then they proceeded back to the parking lot where it seemed like a celebration, like they had already won the election. The Prime Minister spoke, the General Secretary spoke, Mr. Samuda spoke. The message was clear. Even though the showing here was great and we're out in our numbers, it will mean nothing if you don't show up on election day. So that was the message to the supporters at that point.
Insofar as a show of force and an intimidatory show of force, did they achieve their objective?
I certainly think so, because I can't believe the two other contenders coming up to see the Prime Minister alongside his entourage supporting this candidate. It's a show of force, it's a show of resources. And I had a conversation with one of the contenders and I asked, you're an independent man, or you say you're an independent candidate, and you're going up against the JLP machinery. This is an resource-rich institution. Some say your chances are slim. What say you? He says he's not daunted by that reality and he's ready for the challenge.
It's a brave man's game, politics. As well, Ramon did speak to two supporters of the JLP, and we have those interviews captured for you.
Supporting Matthew Samuda. I am a firm believer in aggressive representation for any political seat, and Matthew has been working in this seat for over 1 year, and he has proven himself to be a person of the people. He has an aptitude he's just very youth-friendly. He's very involved with the young people. He literally came in and took over all the constituency happenings as if he had been here for years.
Matthew is facing off against two other contenders. How confident are you that he'll be able to hold his own?
Like with any election, Matthew has the political experience. He has the entire party supporting him. So there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that the entire battalion of the constituency, as well as the supporting constituencies, he will win. He will be successful.
Should he be successful in the next 16, 17 days? What should be his priorities coming right out of the gate?
I think there are several issues across the constituency, from road infrastructure to youth engagement. So there are certain areas that would have required water and basic necessities that he has already pledged, and in some cases in his capacity as minister has already begun to address.
Well, I feel good about Matthew. Matthew is doing a great job. And Matthew going around.
Have something, some trustee.
Some people like what Mr. Hollywood used to do, so we all have to support him. But the team outside from Northeast.
Love the contrast in views, both eloquent in different ways. The young man seems very informed, very articulate, and the lady articulate but with flair, and I like that. In terms of the profile, I know you're a calculated man, you can look at the crowd and make certain assumptions. In terms of the profile of the crowd following the Samuda entourage, do you see mostly young people, elder folk, or was it a mix?
It was a combination of the two. It was a combination of the two, and they were all very different, and they all had very nuanced views, but something that joined them all together was the memory of who they call Mama Robbie. Yes, Matthew is being positioned as a sort of replacement for her. You know, she really changed the political tide back in 2001 when she unseated the PNP there. She passed in 2020. Her impact is still felt by the residents there, and they were dissatisfied with the representation they had under Marshall Smith. They said as much when we visited them today. But Matthew, they say, they have some faith. So they're hopeful that he'll be the change they need.
Was there an orange shirt in sight anywhere, Ramon, even on the sidelines, looking as the events unfolded?
I mean, there was a KFC nearby. I don't know if it's orange or red. I'm colorblind.
That's as close as we got to orange.
That's as close as we got to orange.
No comrade overtly in sight.
None overtly in sight.
Overtly in sight. All right. So you got a very good taste of it, and I'm sure you've already mapped out in your head, the routes that you're going to take, the points that you're going to hit when election day comes.
I can't wait.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ramon. Good job as usual. Ramon Gordon there giving us the first person's perspective about what happened in Northeast St. Anne today. After the break, we'll have some interviews.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
I'm Celine Gordon, host of Holy Road.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy John Mark Wigan, host on the show Holy Road. Listen, people need to know what's happening in the churches and in ministry in all of Jamaica. It's an absolute blessing. We're really excited to share this.
Tune in to CVM. See it happen.
Come rise with sunrise. We're taking it all the way back with Remember This. Then it's Elder Rock, change the way you age. Speaking of age, it's just a number. You're never too young to be a reading champion. Step in the name of love and fitness. It's a September not to be missed. Sunrise does Christmas in September, just because we can. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Four divisions up for contest in the Northeast St. Anne by-election. Well, four divisions in the constituency. You have St. Anne's Bay, you have Ocherius, you have Limehall, and then you have Exchange heading towards the east. It used to be 5 divisions back in the day in the constituency, but Beechertown was excised and added to Southeast St. Anne some time ago. David Fritz Anderson is the independent candidate in the race. He is one of 3, and he joins me now for a conversation. Good evening, David. Welcome to CVM TV. Welcome to Lead Story.
Good evening, and thanks for having me, and I must apologize for the delay.
That's fine, David. Today's a busy day, man. You don't need to apologize. You're here, and we're happy you're here. Let's get cracking. Just before we come to the basis for your candidacy, David, I have to put this one to you. Already on social media, several people have latched on to this argument that you are a stalking horse for the People's National Party, and I want you to address that at the very top.
I'm a stalking horse?
Yes. You're a proxy for the PNP in the race is what some people have already been saying, and I wanted to just put that to you squarely for you to address that.
I think I may ask to simplify that. I don't understand the stalking horse.
Well, I did simplify it. So, David, all that they're saying is that you really are a comrade sent into the race by the PNP to nominate yourself as an independent candidate to try to spoil the Matthew Samuda party. So that's what I'm putting to you for you to respond.
I refute that. I mean, I don't even want to argue on that basis. That's not false. That's not true. That's false.
Very well. So, the basis of your candidacy then, David Anderson. Tell Jamaica why David Anderson believes he is MP worthy.
All right, let me readdress that. Why David Anderson knows that he's MP worthy. I've been operating as if I'm an MP and I'm not in politics, even when I wasn't in politics. I've always been helping people. I've always looked about the needs of the community, so this is not new to me.
In terms of the support that you can count on, where do you think you'll draw the support needed to get the victory on election day?
Once I'm in Centre, I'm good. Nowhere in Centre like foreign to me. This is my zone. This is where I've lived for 47 years. I don't run away. I don't run away from anywhere. I mean, I was born in Alexandria. I came to Northeast in 47 years now. So, you know, I'm not a stranger to this place. I've always been doing my best to help the people around and the community at large.
What do you think is lacking in Northeast St. Anne, David, from the leadership perspective that you think you are destined to change?
All right, what is lacking is good representation and people that you can see every day. You know, people that you can see and say, all right, listen, you will hold this person accountable. That's lacking. The people are tired of promises, right? And that's one of our weak points. in even politics, where everybody come in making promises and telling you that they're going to come back, and after election, you don't see them. They're absent from the communities. So there are a lot of communities that need to be revived. There are a lot of things in the communities that need to be reenacted. For example, our training centers or community centers, they're in the worst state ever. When we talk about light and water, there are still, Northeast Centre still have a large diaspora of area where actually we don't have no light or water, we don't have access to daily water. But yet still we see pipes being laid from Ocherius heading to past Prairie, heading towards that area to facilitate another project, which I don't see it as, it's not fair to the people living in the communities that we know that are facing this problem daily.
So, David, as an independent, if you win on September 30th, and I know you are a confident man, you say when you win. So let's work with how you see it. When you win on September 30, David, the things that you want to correct, you're going to need resources, but you're going to be only one independent in a parliament of 63. Are you banking on the support from the governing party who you are looking to topple in this by-election?
Well, I can tell you, I have enough private people, private sectors that are with me that can put whatever comes.
Then someone will ask then, David, and if you have that private sector support, and as you said, you've been doing so much in the constituency, why do you need a seat in Parliament to be able to do what you say you can do otherwise?
Well, of course, whatever you're doing, actually, you need to have a more firmer base to operate. That's the reason why you go politics.
I've heard that you're heavily into sport. Are you associated with Volvo Football Club, one of the mainstay clubs in St. Anne?
You got that right.
Yes. And so is it that you're banking on people within a certain demographic to push you to victory? Younger people, perhaps 18 to 35, is that your demographic?
Well, hear me. That can be true, but I have a large contingency of even middle age and even people that are not in sports too.
Yeah.
But yes, I'll be heading towards that.
If you lose on election day, David, will you retreat from the work that you've been doing?
Like that.
Go again, David?
I refuse to reason like that.
You refuse to reason like that. You're a positive man.
Right.
Well, there you go. Well, all right. You are on the ballot. Well, you will be on the ballot by the time the EOJ prints them. You have been duly nominated. You are a very confident man. You say you're a son of the soil, born in Alexandria. You're heavily into sport. And you say you'll be a winner on election day. David Anderson, I wish you all the best.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. David Fritz Anderson there. They call him 5 pound in parts in St. Anne. And he says that he has what it takes to win the Northeast St. Anne by-election. Not only has what it takes, he says he will be the winner come election day. Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Senator Abka Fitzenli, joins me now for a quick chat. He is managing communications on behalf of Matthew Samuda. Senator Samuda is the prohibitive favorite heading into the contest. Is he there? Okay, so we understand that Senator Fitzenli is not there yet. But as I was saying, Samuda is the big favorite to win this contest. And as I said at the top, if he were to have been nominated by himself, or if one candidate, whichever party or independent, had been the sole nominee in this contest, then they would have been put into the House of Representatives by way of acclamation. But that's a moot point because there are 3 horses in the race, and the ballot, when it's printed, will show Chad Neal from the United Independence Congress, Matthew Samuda from the JLP, and of course David Fritz Anderson, who says he is an independent candidate. Senator Fitzenli joins me. You're the Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. You're managing communications on behalf of Matthew Samuda in this by-election campaign. I've made the point, Senator, that Mr. Samuda is the prohibitive favorite. He's the howling favorite, as we'd say at Caymanas Park. Do you have any doubts at all that either of the 2 candidates standing beside him can prevent him from getting that seat as a member of Parliament?
No, absolutely not, George. Absolutely not. Good evening to you and good evening to the listeners and the viewers of CVM TV. I have no doubt that on September 30, when the ballots are counted, that Matthew Peter Samuda will emerge as the victor and the Member of Parliament elect for the great constituency of North East St. Anne. And I have no doubt, not because Matthew is running against two people who are considered unheralded, though one is viewed in the constituency as attached to the opposition, PNP. But
and which one is that, Senator? Which one is that, Senator? Do you care to say, based on your we know you're a man of detail. Which one of those two candidates is a stalking horse in the race, you think?
Well, I'm not referring to the UIC gentleman. The name of the other gentleman has fled my memory.
So Chad Neal for the UIC and David Anderson says he's an independent. David Anderson says he's an independent.
I was in the constituency today, and I was told that, look here, people in the constituency, if it was not Ryan Sims, they expected that individual to run on behalf of the opposition. Now, I don't know how true that is. That's what I was told by the people in the constituency. That is how he is perceived.
Yes.
He says he's independent, and I won't dispute that. Moving to my confidence, why am I confident that Matthew will prevail on September 30? Not because he is pitted against two individuals who are not really known in terms of national names, but because of the work that the Jamaica Labour Party has put into the constituency and the energy that Matthew has dedicated. Here is a gentleman who went into the constituency about a year and a half ago, and he has dedicated his heart and soul to the upliftment of the constituency. Today he addressed a meeting in St. Anne's Bay where he outlined a number of plans for the constituency involving the upgrade of the road network in a number of areas in Parrytown, in Ocherius, in Civil Heights, areas in St. Anne's Bay. And also he spoke about a number of plans to bring additional and greater water supply to areas in the constituency which have been lacking for a long time. Anytime I hear Matthew talk, he speaks about the plans for the constituency. And also he alluded to the upgrade of Ocherius to make it a more attractive and area conducive to the not only tourists,
yes,
but more attractive to locals, and an area where business and commerce is seen to be thriving,
yes,
to a greater degree. So Matthew has great